Hey, hi everyone. Hope you all are healthy and safe at your homes. My name is Atisha, and today I will be in conversation with Stuti Changle on the very first episode of Curiosity Rover, our interview series with the best minds in the world of writing, business, technology, and fitness. So before I start my conversation with Stuti, let me give you a brief introduction about her fabulous journey so far. So Stuti is a popular name and a popular author of Amazon bestseller books on the open road and a recent book, You Only Live Once. And she's on a mission to inspire the youth to pursue their dreams with courage and her mantra in her heart, make a move. She's an MBA graduate and a computer science graduate and has worked with corporates like HSBC, Coffee Day Beverages before embarking on a never-ending career as a writer and an author. She's a passionate storyteller by heart, and she's already inspired thousands of people with her recently launched book, You Only Live Once, and more than a million people with her books so far in her writing career. So the mission of her life is to learn and motivate others with her own experiences and the storytelling. So thank you so much, Kruti, for joining me on this conversation. Good to have you. Yeah, shall we start?
Yeah, we can start. First of all, thank you, Atishay. I guess it was a very elaborate and nice introduction. Even I was like, wow, while I was listening to what you all said. So thank you so much for such a warm, such a nice and honest introduction. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's get the ball rolling.
Perfecto. The first question for you, Stuti, is you quit your high-paying job to make a career in writing. Do you ever regret that decision?
Atishay, to be honest, I do, and I do not. Now you will say, what kind of answer is this? But I think that life cannot be lived in zeros and ones. Life is all about the gray zone. There's nothing certain. If things were certain, then it is said that the all possibility of life is destroyed. Life is there because every moment is uncertain and something new can happen every other day. So coming back to the question, there are days and nights when I do regret, and there are days and nights when I feel that this is the best thing that I could have done, and this is the best thing I did to myself. So there's no true answer to this. I think I do and I do not, and I'll tell you why, Atisha. Entrepreneurial journey is something that once you embark on it, every day is not the same. Every day is different. It's not like this, high paid or a salaried or a corporate job where you will know that what are the kind of KRAs that you will have to do to be able to make this much money. And there are no such milestones which are set by the organization or by your boss. This is a journey where you will be setting goals for yourself, right? And of course there are times when you'll not be able to achieve them, and that's life. You will fail, but then you will wake up again, and then you'll work hard, and then you'll achieve some other goal. So yes, there are days when I feel that this is the best thing that I've done. For example, when I'm sitting in a book launch, when I read back messages from my readers across India, they say that, we loved your book and this book encouraged me to do this. There was this person who told me that he started up a cafe after reading my book. And he's kept that book in front of his cafe desk, at the reception. And he tells everyone about the book because he loved it so much, because he felt that the story of Myra, Kabir, and Sandy, which was my first book, On the Open Road, resonates with him, and he feels that he can start up. So these are the days when you feel that you are creating an impact in the society. And these are the days when you feel that your work has not gone, unnoticed, and you're very happy about it. And yeah, there are days when the struggle is real, the hustle is real. You know that things are not working out for days and days in a row, because such is entrepreneurial life. I always say that uh, it may sound very cliched, but it's a journey. If you'll try to find peace in the journey, if you'll try to be happy because you're doing what you want to do, because you're doing what you love to do, writing, that is something I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing it. So why not? Like, why do I have to be sad about it? So those are the good days, those are the good feelings, those are the good experiences that you collect on the way. But to sum up, if you see it all as a journey, the problem of crying on some days might get resolved, because this is a journey, and a journey is full of ups and downs. It is not a destination.
So what was your family reaction, when you told them that you were quitting your full-time job and starting writing as your full-time career?
Okay, see, Atishay, to be very, very honest, I come from a middle class family. My dad worked with a bank. My mom is a teacher in government school. So we have been brought up with certain values. And, where we've been taught that, these are the things which are right and these are the things which are wrong. And, this is how the society operates and this is how you have to do it. So the first reaction obviously wasn't very comfortable. They were obviously not very happy with the decision that their daughter is now, putting at stake such an amazing career. I was in MBA. I started at a really, good package, as they say. I mean, I don't know. It's really funny, but we guys actually in India judge each other basis, what package we have, and that was the statement that they had, and now they had nothing to speak about. So obviously no one's family in India agrees when we say them that this is the kind of risk that I want to take, or this is the kind of career that I want to pursue. But I think nothing is impossible. While they were very angry, they were mad at me, they really did not want me to quit the job, when they realized that I am very passionate about this and no matter what I will pursue this and I have my career goals set, they are in place, that 2016 this book, 2017 this thing, 2018, and they saw that plan. Suddenly all their fears sort of took a back seat, and they were very happy that if she has a plan, then sure, this girl is sincere, she's gonna do something, because she was a good achiever. She was this good performer in the class. So if she's having all those goals or KRAs set for herself, maybe she'll achieve it. So yes, they were very tensed, very unhappy in the beginning, but eventually I could convince them, and yeah, now they're very happy. After the success, obviously everybody wants that you put in more and more effort into the same thing and make it even better. So now, at times my mom comes up and she tells me that you've not been writing for a while. Like, why are you not releasing your third book? When is your fourth book gonna come? And she's very pressurizing in a way. She's like, ye chuna hai na, abhi aapko karna hai. You have to do this, in her typical Hindi language thing. So yeah, that is how she speaks now. So I'm very happy that now they are by my side and they are my strength and not a weakness.
Okay. Suti, both your books are self-published, both On the Open Road and You Only Live Once. So why didn't you, go ahead with a traditional publishing route? Why you self-publish this book?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So let me tell you, Atishay, how the publishing industry in India works. If you're a debut novelist, like if you're a debut author, it's your first book. Until and unless your script stands out or you have an access to the inner circle, it's very difficult to, get through the whole email me and I'll get you published thing. So I have emailed to a couple of publishers, and I have come to a realization from my experience that it did not work out in my case. Like, I had emailed to so many people, and there's one thing when people reject, there's another thing when you don't get a reply. Rejections are still good because you know that there's something that needs to be worked upon, and then you work and you get back. But not getting a reply isn't something that is very appealing to someone who's anyway struggling and wants to make a career in a particular field. So it was very boggling for me. Like, I wasn't very comfortable. There were days and nights when I would cry that there's no way this can work out. I've been trying since 1 year. I have such a good book with me, but no one's replying and I don't know anyone. And I even tried LinkedIn, Facebook, direct messaging, but that approach didn't work. That cold sales approach, which we call, did not work. So I had no option. But to publish it on my own. And I chose Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, as a platform. So there was this competition called Pen to Publish, which was happening back in 2017. And I participated in that competition. And I told myself that, okay, let me just release the ebook. Let's see what's the response going to be like. It'll be more like a, beta test. And I'll know that what are the kind of readers, are they liking it? Does the cover needs to be changed? And then I'll plan the paperback. So I was, very unsure. But there was this dream that I have to reach out to readers, no matter what the medium is. So I gave up on paperback. I chose ebook only. And I launched On the Open Road back in 2017 in Pen to Publish competition on Amazon. And the book did well. I did not win the competition. Let me make it clear. I was very heartbroken because I did not win. But the book did well. Somehow I got really rave reviews. Somehow there was this word of mouth where people started telling each other, hey, there's this amazing book called On the Open Road, and it really relates to the youth. It resonates with the youth. Have you, given this book a read? And that's where the actually publicity happened. People told each other that it's an amazing book and why don't you read it? And then in March, I realized after 5 months of my book being solely on Kindle that I need new readers. I need to acquire new readers. And now the only way I can do it is through paperback. So then the paperback release. So both of my books until now are self-published. People take it as a surprise that it's such a successful book, but there's no publisher backing it. I'm the one who gets my copies printed, edited, cover, everything that you see. I design my marketing strategy. I have my own brand campaigns running on social media. I've been this hustler. I've done all the groundwork. And I've never said no to anything. Atisha, there have been days when I had to pack at least 10 to 15 boxes that I had to send to fulfillment center on Amazon. But I did not hire a labor. It was lockdown. It was a tough time. You couldn't hire people. You couldn't get people to do it for you. I did it all on my own, and I'm very happy that I did it because the kind of results that it gave, finally, all the hard work paid off. So, self-publishing is something which will take a lot of effort from your end. If you're planning to go ahead and self-publish, then be ready for the hustle. Right from printing your book to packing and dispatching it to customers, to marketing it, to creating a word of mouth, to creating your brand on social media, you will do it all on your own. You are lucky if you have a team. Like, you'll be lucky if you have a team. In my case, I did not have that team. So I did everything on my own. And yeah, I'm happy that I put in that effort. It's like, in the end, it's your baby. You have to nurture it. So you have to take the pains because you decided to bring it to this earth. Anyways, other things are functioning, but you decided to bring this baby to the world. Now it's your child. You need to take care of it, nurture it, it'll throw all the tantrums like a kid, every sort of thing's gonna happen, but you have to, in the end, be, very confident and sure that this is my dream, and no matter what, I will do it.
That is so motivating how you kept the books going, especially in the especially in this lockdown period. That is really inspiring and motivating. Stuti, what will be your advice to anyone who wants to self-publish his or her book and who is new to this self-publishing world? So, what will be your tips to anyone who wants to self-publish?
Okay, so I mean, I have covered a lot of points in the last answer, but I'll kind of talk about them again. One of the things that you need to be very sure about is that you need to own it. Now, it might sound like really, it might sound really generic. Own it. Obviously, if I'm doing anything, I'm owning it. No, but when I say own it, don't be dependent on others. That, this guy's going to definitely put up a review, or they are going to definitely buy my book, or these kind of things that definitely happen. Let me tell you, once your book is in the market, nobody definitely does anything that you imagine. So you call up your friends, buy some book, you put in a review. We have this laid back approach. We call our relatives, we call people close to us, we tell our organizations or companies that, hey, I'm an employee and I released this book. Why don't you guys go ahead and buy? Okay, it's fine. They might buy it, but the chances that they'll be your true audience or that kind of model can sustain for a long term is wrong. It won't be a self-sustaining model. It will work only until the day you will force people to buy the book. So you have to own the process. When you will be doing self-publishing, like from end to end, you'll have to own the process. You need to have that sales plan as to, if I want to sell 1,000 books or if I want to sell 3,000 books, how long is it going to take and how am I going to achieve that goal? So right from the goal setting to achieving the goal, the whole journey should be owned by you. Don't be dependent on any third party that if I'll hire a digital agency, they'll do this stuff for me. If I'll hire a PR, they'll write certain articles about me and then my book will start selling. See, it will add to your brand, but the book doesn't really sell that way. So you'll have to figure out your own strategies, and for that, you'll have to figure out the process end to end as to what's your goal that you're trying to achieve. Have a time-bound goal. So from writing to publishing to everything, have a cycle. It's a project. Have a cycle that if 6 months I'm going to write, then 1 month I'm going to spend on editing and, getting my copyrights and, all the other stuff done. Then 1 month I'll be spending on making a sales plan and a marketing plan. Then this particular date, the book releases. From this, these are the organizations that I'm going to go to and talk about, when it comes to selling my book. Because when you are a self-publisher, you are shamelessly marketing your book everywhere. And that's the truth, because you want this book to sell. It's so close to your heart. So don't feel shy about it, that ab main kaise karunga ya ab main kaise karungi. There's no option for that. Self-publishing is a lot like, entrepreneurship. It's like where business meets art. It's like where you have this amazing artistic product and it has certain value. But if you don't combine it with the right, business strategies, the chances that you'll be able to reach out to a lot of people is very, very shallow or very, very less. So how do you do that? That is something that you should have in your mind. If you feel that you're not the best person to be able to see, how you get this whole marriage of art and business done, then you get someone for the business part. But if you're doing it all on your own, whether it's you or your team, you need to have your strategies clear. You need to have it right, starting from the very beginning. When the idea gets into the conception stage, just see it parallelly as a startup idea, how people first scratch it, scribble it on a piece of paper, then how they actually make their first prototype, how they actually get into the market, test it on certain customers, how they finally come up with that first product that can become scalable, how there is their angel investment, then how they get into the journey where, they know that this is the kind of market that my product is. But if I invest some more money, then, I can scale up my business. So you have to figure it out. And while I might sound a lot business-like, and you might feel that, why is it all needed? If you're a writer, you're just a writer. I mean, writer ka kaam hota hai, you sit down and you write your books. See, if your books won't sell, you won't get that motivation. After a point, that motivation will die. So if it is something which is your hobby, and it's one book that you're going to publish in your entire life, then you don't have to take so much pain. But if you want to make a career in writing, if you want this model to be successful, if you want to make money out of this, if you want to be motivated out of this, then you will have to sell the book. There is no other way out. Trust me. And that sums up the entire thing, that even if you have chosen to get into self-publishing, make sure that from end to end, you own the process, own the entire business, you see it as a business, and you make sure that you're able to implement those strategies to get to your true audience. Now they will become your loyal customers, your loyal readers, and if they really love your work, they will be spreading that word of mouth that you've always needed. And I always say this, before I sum up this answer as well, it's a very different thing to sell a shampoo or a comb. You can do it through Facebook ads, Instagram ads, all those nice packagings, because it's like something people use on a day-to-day basis. And everyone shampoos their hair, everyone uses a comb, but not everybody reads a book. It's a unique product. And not everybody might read your fiction book, or if you're a non-fiction writer, then a non-fiction book. So you need to know who is your audience, who are the readers to whom this book will appeal to, and you need to figure out how you reach to the right audience. If you're able to do that, there's no good writer or bad writer. There's only this perfect marriage between content and audience. If that has happened, if the right content has met the right audience, then no one can stop it from becoming viral, is what I feel.
That is so true. And I definitely believe that this answer will help all those people who want to, enter into the world of self-publishing. My next question to you, Shruti, is, all the books which you have written so far are based on a journey to discover oneself. So is there any story behind choosing to express yourself regarding this genre?
Yes, there's a huge reason why all of my books are centered around self-discovery, or they're more about seeking that inspiration or finding that inspiration within, and setting out on that journey of life. There was this quote that I read when I was very young, and it's a very simple thing. You must have also heard it from a lot of people, that if you know the why, the how becomes clear. if I know why I want to do this in life, then you will figure out how you're going to do it. So in anything, you need to figure out why. And that why I define as purpose of life. And I feel that each one of us has a unique purpose. Like we're all here for some reason. And if you're able to figure out that why, if you're able to figure out that why you're here or what's the reason, then you can surely connect back to the house and, get to that part. Now, in my books, all my characters set out on this journey where they try and figure out the why of their lives. And in the process, they also figure out the how. And I do this. It's a very amazing exercise. I love doing it. I love playing it, in a way with my readers, because when my readers step into my character's shoes and they feel that, Arav is me, or for example, Myra is me, or Kabir is me. These are different characters from my books. If this character is able to figure out the answers in the journey, I want to make sure that my reader also better figures out those answers. And how these guys are actually finding the why of their lives, and then making sure that how they're doing or what are the things that they're doing to achieve that why. I want my readers to be inspired enough to do that. So there's this whole formula that I have, and there's a reason I've been doing it, and there's a reason all of my books talk about the same thing, because my life's purpose in the end is to, enlighten as many people as I can on the way, and I want to ignite them like my characters, and I want them, because I know that they will live a very meaningful and fulfilled life if they are somehow able to figure out that, what is it that they're made for, or what is it that they're born for. And when they do that, every day that they work won't be so much work like for them. They would be enjoying, immersing in something that they love to do. And in the meanwhile, they will also be creating an impact for the society. I think every idea, everything, every genesis in the end should have something that culminates into the betterment of society. If that's not happening, I mean, if a monetary goal is nice to have, I'm not saying that you don't have that, but then you should also have some goal of social betterment, or, uplifting each one of us as a society. And if you're able to do that, then I think everyone's life is, truly lived, well lived, fully lived.
That is so true. So in your previous answer, you mentioned about the importance of characters and belonging of that character to your personal journey. So from your story, which character is the most closest to you and why?
Okay, the character that's closest to me is Myra, and she's the protagonist from my first book, which was On the Open Road. And there's a part of Myra which is also there in You Only Live Once, but that's a huge secret, so I can't really let out why or how she's there as well. But I think Myra's journey is very close to my own journey, because when I started out as a writer back in 2016 or 17, I really did not know that, where the road's gonna take me. I was like quite literally on the open road. So anyway, so keeping the jokes aside, she is very close to me. Because as the book progressed, as my first book progressed, and I was somehow able to end her chapter in that particular book, I also felt that in that journey, I had evolved and I had gotten answers to so many questions that I had about myself and my life. So the journey of Myra as a seeker is something which is very close to my journey as an author, as a person, and I'm a seeker, and I really, really connect with Myra a lot.
Okay. So what is the most complicated character that you've ever written till date?
The most complicated character.
I know it's a tough one.
I know it's a tough one. There's so many characters, but if I have to figure out one complicated character, so there's this character in my second book, You Only Live Once, and he's one of the three main guys. His name is Ricky, and he's this, old guy who owns a shack, and, he is a little bit of a out of the world, his thoughts are he's too intellectual, he's out of the world, and the way he's thinking, the way he's processing things is something that we don't do on a day-to-day basis. So I think while I was writing his character, of course, Ricky is not me. And I'm very immature at this time. Like, at this age, if I have X number of experience, then, by the time I'll reach Ricky's age, I might sound a lot more mature and a lot more different. But I haven't reached there yet because I'm young and I can't do anything about it. That's not even a problem. So it was very difficult for me to pen down what Ricky thinks, what Ricky feels, what Ricky's experiences are, and how this amazing character Ricky is actually empowering the other two characters in the novel, which is Arav and Alara. So Arav and Alara were very easy for me to write because I'm a millennial, I'm young, I know things that we think about. But to get into Ricky's shoes, think like him, feel like him, share his experiences the way he did in the book, that was a really tough thing for me. And I'm just happy that I was able to do justice, because now a lot of people love Ricky from that book. So I'm really glad that I could do some justice to the kind of character that I had imagined.
Okay. See, as you all know, Stuti, you're a hardcore traveler, and literally both of your books are, loosely based on traveling only. So, what were the things that attracted you most in your traveling ventures, and how traveling literally helps you in writing?
To be honest, Atishay, traveling actually takes me into a zone that I want to be it when I want to write. For me, it's really difficult to be sitting in a room and then getting all those ideas and then writing all those stories. So with my first and my second book, I have extensively traveled, and traveling is something that has always given me a kick. Now, why I do that is because I just don't have an answer that why I do it. I just love traveling, and I just love gathering experiences, different kind of experiences, because I think that even if you're a fiction writer, readers can't be fooled. Like, you can't write unreal experiences, or you can't make up things. They get to know it somehow. If the character and its experiences are honest, if it is something that the writer has truly lived, then the way he'll describe the situation or he'll describe the place is going to be very, very honest and credible and authentic, as against someone who's just imagining and writing. So I've always been this writer who wants to go to a place, experience that. So for example, in my second book, I have vividly mentioned Goa. Like, there are vivid descriptions of Goa. And it's because I've been to Goa more than 8 times. And, I don't even know. I'm not even counting anymore. The last time I counted, it was 8. So it's like, I know the place, I know the skin, I know the culture, I know what kind of tourists come in, what are the kind of, hangout spots for the youth. So I'm very much connected to that place. So when I write about that place, it won't sound made up. It is very, very real. And that's the kind of thing that I want with my work. So traveling actually allows me to do that. It allows me to create those immersive experiences for my readers. And plus, I want to market India really well. This is my hidden agenda. I don't tell this a lot of times, but today I'm just letting it out. So I have this hidden agenda. I really want to market India well, because I feel that, India is as beautiful, or maybe more, than so many countries that I've seen. So I've been to more than 13 countries, but I still feel that there's this unique warmth that our country has. We've not been able to market it as well as maybe Switzerland is doing, or for example, how US is doing. Everyone's like, this country is very beautiful, that is very beautiful. After going everywhere, I've realized that the most beautiful 2 places that I've been to are actually Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Kashmir. So there is so much potential in India, and I, as a writer, feel that it's my responsibility that I introduce readers to more such places in India, and they go there, the tourism really boosts, and our country really benefits from that.
Wow, that's amazing. You have traveled to 13 countries. That's really amazing. So, Stuti, as you mentioned that, as you mentioned the secrets of, writing, that traveling is really important aspect of writing. So what is your favorite, destination? I know you already mentioned in your answer. So what is the place which you like to visit, where you want to maybe start a new book, or, maybe a new venture, something?
I think Goa is very convenient in India, for that matter. You have a lot of accommodations, right from, budget to luxury. So you can choose whatever your state is at that time. If you want to do a long vacation, a 30-40 day vacation, and book an Airbnb, settle down, then, Goa and all these places in India are really cool to go and do that. If it's slow travel, and if it's like more about going and exploring a new place, then I have nothing in mind. Like, I think the world is a clean slate, and I have so many points to mark right now. So I don't have any particular, next place that I want to go to. I'm very fortunate. I feel very fortunate that I've already been to 13 countries, but I don't have any idea as such. You know, I'm a kind of person who takes things as it comes. So I don't have a plan on that or an opinion on that. But if it's about slow travel, going to a place, experiencing it, you know, writing or starting something new, then I think Goa is a real good place for Indians.
Okay, that's great. So we are down to last two questions. How do you think, you know, writing landscape in India is changing in the recent years? How do you think it has evolved in the past maybe 3-4 years? The writing landscape in India.
I think, Atishay, every day it's evolving like any other thing. You know, there's no constant here. Although there's this one thing that people think that a lot of people now read ebooks, but you know, paperback is still a king in India, is what I've realized, that paperback still rules India. People still want to buy a book, hold it tight, hold it with them, and then they want to read it. They want to preserve it. They want to keep it in shelves. They want to adore it, admire it. So that is one thing which I used to think that the country has evolved and people have actually moved to ebooks, but that has not really happened in a true sense. People still like the aroma of paperbacks. I do so I'm very happy while I'm sharing this. In the publishing landscape, I think one of the things which I can vouch from my own experience, which has evolved, is that there's no taboo around self-publishing now. Initially, people were very shy in telling that, you know, this book is a self-published book and, you know, I am the person who's handling everything. Now all that matters is, I guess, numbers, the number of books that you've sold or the number of readers that you have. It has become irrelevant as to who published the book. I mean, to quite an extent, it still matters. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But if we compare it from the last 10 years, then obviously the mindset has opened up. Like, people are more inviting towards new authors or new work. They're ready to experiment. They're ready to read this new author that they have not read before. So that kind of acceptance, since I've gotten in the industry, like since I've gotten the, you know, after publishing both the books, I feel that that kind of change has happened. So two major changes that if I have to, you know, sum it up, like what are the two major changes? One is definitely that people are more accepting or welcoming of self-published books and new authors. You know, they are just very happy. Second, that whole taboo has gone. You know, that whole societal taboo as to apne paise deke karwaya hai has gone, because people know that if somebody is thriving, it's only talent. If they are not talented, then no matter how much money you put in the whole project, eventually you can't make it like a very huge success or a very huge book. So how YouTube is like for the singers, like if you don't get a label, you know, if you don't get to sign a label, a cassette label or a CD label or any big music producer, then you can put out your own YouTube video. And I see self-publishing as the similar thing, and it is becoming more and more accepted, just like YouTube. So I think that's one of the major things that have evolved in the past few years.
So we are down to one last question. So if you haven't been an author, what career must have taken? What career path you must have chosen? If not a writer, I know it's a very difficult question. You might not have, you know, possibly imagine your life without writing. But yeah, if it wasn't for writing, then what would be the career?
Okay, there are two things. So one is what's practical. So if I talk about this whole question in a very practical term, then I was in MBA. I had a job in sales, and I was already doing banking, and then I was into, you know, selling coffee machines as well. So I've done FMCG in a way. So that ways I would have been a branding and marketing professional for sure. But if I have to, you know, take this question a little bit more lightly, and if I have to imagine that, you know, what's by far the most crazy thing that I could have been, if not this, I still feel that I would have been in some field that's related to art. It could be interior design, it could be fashion, it could be singing, it could be acting. I don't know. There's so many things, but it would have been creative for sure. Is all I know.
Okay, that's wonderful. So one, you know, I know it was the last question, but there is one question which is just popping in my mind. If your recent books, You Only Live Once, it's being adapted into a movie, so you know, which actors you will choose as the protagonist and the main characters?
Hey, that's a really good question. And I don't know. Every time someone asks me, Atisha, I have a different answer. Now, if people are gonna sit and check 4 or 5 of my interviews, they're going to be like, "ये हर जगह अलग बोलती है." Okay, so to be honest, I really don't have any fixed, people in my mind. It always changes when I go back and think, and I do the thinking in the current setting. It always changes, Atisha. So, for You Only Live Once, Ricky has to be someone like who's matured. I don't know how do I put. I'm not getting the name of the guy. Like, I'm so bad at times with names. I can see this face, but I'm unable to recall. I'm so sorry. I'm just not able to answer this one.
Could Shahrukh be the Ricky
Sorry?
because he's mature and he has ample experience, like Ricky in your book, in your book You Only Live Once. He's a mature guy, full of wisdom and knowledge. So could Shahrukh play the role of Ricky? Do you want?
It can be. It would be amazing, right? If that happens. I really like this character Jug in Dear Zindagi. So I think he can pull off that kind of a role. Like, he was a mentor to Alia Bhatt, I guess, in that movie. And I think he will really amazingly pull off that role. But yeah, that's a dream. Let's see what happens, because as of now, nothing concrete in terms of, getting into a movie is being done. But I'm sure that, when they'll cast people who will be true to the characters, and they'll be able to bring them to life. One thing is for sure, that my readers are going to be very happy. They're like very desperate to see a movie. Half of the people who write back to me, they tell me कि इसकी movie कब बन रही है, आप कुछ करते हो भी हो या आप कुछ नहीं करते हो इस direction में. They have these questions. I'm like, अब आप लोग इतना बोल रहे हो, let me think, let me figure out कि मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ.
Even I am eager to, have this book adapted into a movie, a Bollywood flick, with maybe Shah Rukh Khan in the lead role. Shah Rukh, if you are watching this show, we have a ready-made script for you. Okay, thanks a lot,
Cool.
Shruti, for addressing this question, with utmost honesty and sincerity. And I hope all these answers will definitely, all those people who are, still living in self-doubt and on when to make a move and when to follow the passion. So I'm very sure these questions will answer all those people. And thanks a lot for
I
for
hope
your.
after all the answers, people are able to make a move. Make a move is something that I always sign
True.
my books with, and I always tell people. And it literally means that move from where you are, do what you want to do. If there's any time you can do it, it's now.
So true. So true. Now we are, we have the next segment up and running. So it's a rapid fire round. You have to answer the
Okay.
questions. Yeah, you have to answer the questions in 5 seconds or less. So are you ready? Shall we begin the rapid fire?
I think we are never ready for a rapid fire, but we'll do it.
Okay, let me start. The first one is a very simple one, just to set up the pace. So are you a morning person or a night person?
I'm so sorry, but there was some glitch. I missed it. I'm sorry. Can you please
Okay.
repeat?
Yeah. So the first question is, are you a morning person or a night person?
Night person.
Okay. So what was your favorite book, growing up?
Tuesdays with Maury.
Okay. Name of the current TV show which you are watching on Netflix.
I just finished Dark, and I'm not watching anything after that.
Okay. And what was your least favorite subject in school and why? That to answer very fast.
Math.
Okay. Okay. Next one is Durjoy Datta or Preeti Shenoy. Who's a better writer?
That's difficult because I haven't read
You have to
so
choose
many
one. You
books from
can't
both
be
of them.
controversial.
I've just read one book each, so it's difficult. But Preeti Shenoy.
Okay. Kai Poche or Dil Bechara, which Sushant Singh movie do you like the most?
Kai Poche.
Okay. Who is your favorite superhero?
Spider-Man.
Okay. Okay. What is your favorite, movie quote from Bollywood?
बड़े बड़े शहरों में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है सेनोरिटा.
Okay. What is the strangest thing that you have ever eaten?
Done. I was at this 5-star in Malaysia, and I wasn't aware. I could just read honey, and I thought that it was honey. until I realized that it was honeybee. And I had just taken it in my mouth, and then I spit it because the guy told me that you were just inquiring for vegetarian food and now you're having this. I'm like, yeah, it's vegetarian, it's honey. He's like, no, it's honeybee. So I think that was the most weird thing that I could get into my mouth ever.
Okay, the next one is, what's your favorite holiday destination and why? I believe you already answered it, but let's hear it again.
If it's going to be regular, then Goa.
Okay. Your biggest addiction?
Water.
Okay. Okay. What's your spirit animal? If you were an animal, what animal it would be?
That's a nice question. Why didn't I ever think about it?
You
I'm
can
definitely
now.
someone underwater. Can I say mermaid? Although it's a fictional character, but I would love to be half woman and half fish. I would be very cool.
Okay. Okay. So imagine that you have, just won a lottery of 1 crore rupee. So what would you buy the very next minute from that money?
From 1 crore lottery, what will I buy the very next minute? Oh, that's a really hard question. Yeah, what are you gonna buy? Like 1 crore is a huge money. I don't know what am I gonna buy.
Maybe some piece of jewelry, maybe, a bulb tool, something like that.
Nothing. I think 50% I'm gonna give away to people who need it, to be very honest, because I wouldn't need so much money. I would just need 10-15 lakhs for a world tour also. Or maybe 20. So I can keep that much, rest I'll give away.
That's a very
Rest
sweet
I'll be
answer.
like dua mein yaad rakhna.
That's a very sweet answer. Okay, the next one is, so do you have a nickname? And if yes, what's that?
I've never had a nickname. Although some people called me Stu during my college days, a couple of friends, but that was a very limited circle. I've always been called by my name as Tuti, so I don't really have one.
Okay. And the very last question is, describe yourself in 3 words.
Sorry, I missed the question.
Yeah, the last one is, describe yourself in 3 words.
Gregarious, spontaneous, visionary.
Okay, that's really wonderful. And thanks a lot for answering all the questions so rapidly and honestly. That's all in the rapid fire round.
You're welcome. I just enjoyed it. I just felt
Me
a lot
too.
more honored after that round.
And I hope all the viewers or all the listeners who are watching this or listening this will get to know more about you from this rapid fire round.
I hope they do.
Okay, before we end this interview, there's a one last question which I want your answer to. So, what's your message for all the budding writers and authors that these are the mistakes that you should avoid doing? I've already done these mistakes, and you should avoid doing in your path of becoming a writer. So, what's the message for them?
Only one advice: if you are aspiring overnight success, please stop right away. Don't do it. It's not for you. You will have to work hard and you will have to hustle. Perseverance is the only thing that pays off when it comes to a creative career, especially like writing. It takes time to spread the word. It takes time to become, you know, that successful, that a couple of people have started reading you, but that shouldn't let your spirit down. If you are expecting overnight success, this journey is not for you. But yes, if you're someone who loves it and who's doing it because they love writing, not for whether it's going to be successful or it's going to be a failure, then go for it. If you're enjoying the journey, if you want to be a writer because you love writing, go for it. If there's any other aspiration you have, hidden aspiration, and you feel that that can be achieved through this, please don't go, because this journey is equally challenging as any other, and there's no overnight success here as well. So I think that's very honest, and I think that's very unpolished. It's very raw, the advice that I've given. I just did not think a lot. I just did not mix up the words. I was very honest and transparent. I just put it right in front of you. It's like a disclaimer, because I don't want people to be hurt later on in the journey. They should know what they are starting.
That's a really, good piece of advice. That's a really honest and, upfront piece of advice. You have not sugarcoated anything that, everything will be fine, everything will be good in your, way of writing or in your journey of writing. Yeah, I guess that's a very honest and something which, all the people should know if they're entering in this business or in this, if they're taking writing as a career. So once again, thanks a lot, Suti, for joining us on this interview, on this session, and wish you all the success with your, books and your writing career. One last question out of curiosity: when you are coming with your next book, have you planned? Have you planned for it?
Yes, I'm already writing the book. In the lockdown, it took me a little longer. I had a lot of time, but I was not getting all the ideas as I do, when I travel. So it's taking a couple of more days than I had imagined. I had actually thought of finishing it by September, but now I think I'll take time until November. So I think later this year, or earlier next year, you will have my next book in your hands.
Okay, perfect. And guys, I will be, putting the links of her books in the chat, in the description. So you guys can go to the link and purchase the book, Kindle or paperback, whichever you like. Thanks a lot once again, Stuti.
And guys, anytime you have any problem, if you're an author and if you feel like, this is the kind of journey she has taken, and if there's any value that I can add, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty much available. I pretty much talk to my readers, and through different mediums. I'm there on LinkedIn as Stuti Changle, and on Facebook, on Instagram. You can reach out to me over there. We can have a quick chat, and I'll see if I can help you.
That's great. And I will put all the social media handles in the description so you guys can reach out to her in case of any queries and any help required. Once again, thanks a lot. And
Perfect.
guys, if you like this conversation, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting conversation like this. And this is Atisha Jain signing off. Take care, stay safe. Thanks a lot, Stuti. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Atisha. Thanks for having me.